And I also mentioned in our last update basically that we don't want to be closing below the 200-day moving average. This would be the bearish sign. And we have 2 additional days of closing below the 200-day moving average. This is looking more like a bearish flag pattern here and a potential gap down maybe tomorrow. This is a interesting setup here for a potential gap down. So we have to be aware of that. Ideally, in terms of if you want to be bullish for the stock, we want to be holding this line and not going below it. I think this is pretty important. It doesn't mean we can't break below it for a candle or two and get back above it. Yo, how's it going, you guys? It's Market Scraper. So we talked about in our last update, as you saw in the clip, that basically we saw these 2 closes underneath the 200-day moving average here, and this was kind of bearish. So we can see that we expected having a gap down below this significant trend line the next day, which is exactly what ended up happening. Now, having said that, we talked about this line right here. We could potentially see a gap down, but then a recovery within 1 to 2 candles. And the reason why this line is so important here is to basically keep this structure having a low here and basically a higher low over here. So we had to have that higher low basically to keep the structure on a technical perspective here. So, and also we could have just had resistance on this line here and been rejected today and the next day. So this is pretty encouraging. I think this is pretty significant. Also, we're not out of the woods quite yet because we have to reclaim the 200-day moving average. And I think that might happen tomorrow on Friday or potentially the next day. Maybe we can't close above it the next day. We hover over here, build up some energy and gap above the 200-day. So let's look out for that for the next day or the day after for confirmation that this is a significant turnaround and we're going to see an uptrend in the coming days and weeks ahead. But before we get any further into this video, if you haven't already, smash that like button. It really helps this channel. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to this channel. I'd really appreciate it. And also, if you're into cryptocurrency, definitely take a look at my partner link to BlockFi. You can get up to 250 in a Bitcoin bonus. You can see the payout down here, details. And also, I like to take advantage of the 8.6% APY I can get on stable coins. Okay, without further ado, let's take a quick look at some of the trades that I've been doing. And in addition, what did I do on this massive crash we had here? This was pretty interesting for folks that woke up and saw this or saw this actually crash. This was pretty intense. We went all the way down to around 30K. So what did I do? I happened to roll out of bed and I opened my phone and I saw we were at 32K and I instantly started buying Bitcoin. I bought almost an entire Bitcoin while we were down here, my largest purchase ever in Bitcoin in a single day. I think I bought maybe around 26K or so. So not a full Bitcoin, but I bought a significant amount of Bitcoin while we were down here. So that was pretty exciting. In addition, I happened to buy 1 Tesla share. I'm not sure. And so that was at like $551 or so. I'm not sure exactly why I decided just to buy 1 Tesla share and basically 1 Bitcoin, but that's what I did. I am very bullish on Bitcoin in the near future. I think that this capitulation that we saw here, this is a very significant bottom in the near term. It doesn't mean we can't break below this at some point in the future, but I think that this is a significant bottom here and that we're going to see a recovery. Now, how high can we see a recovery? I think this area we'd see the initial resistance right around here. So we're talking about around 44-ish. But then I think that maybe by Sunday, maybe before Monday, I expect price to potentially hit 46 and then probably get rejected off of 46K. So that's my target right now for Bitcoin to kind of probably go to 46K in the next several days. Again, maybe as soon as before Monday, and then have a little bit of a pullback. That's kind of what I'm looking at. Anyway, we'll see what actually happens. A few trades I've been making. I talked about CLSK. This is just trending nicely so far. Nothing too important there. And then also Metromile, MILE. This is a little more interesting. We saw this huge trend basically, and basically we've been breaking out perfectly. In the last update, we were right here. And so we made a nice move to the upside, and we can see that we broke out nicely today. Okay, now let's take a look at the S&P 500 to see what's going on in the markets right now. We talked about for a while that we thought this gap is going to be filled, and we still believe that this gap will be in fact filled. So we can see that we actually have a bullish abandoned baby here. So this is a bullish pattern that we've made here. And my minimal expectation is that we are going to go fill this gap here. Now, are we going to do it on Friday or are we going to do it on Monday? I don't know when it's actually going to happen, but I expect it to happen on Friday or on Monday. That we're going to fill this gap up here. So let's take a look at what that exactly means. We're looking at the gap, basically a low of $417.81. So I'm expecting price to go to $417.81 in the next few trading days. Let's just say now it depends on if we close above that or we close below that. That could be an indication, an early indication at least, if we get rejected. We do have a lot of consolidation that we had over here, so we potentially have a lot of upwards resistance. So I could see potentially hitting the gap here and kind of consolidating a bit more and not necessarily able to just simply break through all of this resistance quite yet. That's just what I'm thinking. We'll see what actually happens with the S&P 500, but I'm still bullish with the S&P 500 in general. And let's take a look at Palantir stock. We hit the minimal move to the upside here. We thought maybe we would just continue on this path to the upside, but we can see here that we did not continue the path to the upside. We're consolidating underneath this trend. This is kind of normal. We're just waiting our time over here before we finally break out to the upside. That's still my position of what's going to happen here with Palantir stock in the near future. We will keep this in mind. And let's look at the downside of if we break below basically the low over here, $19.63, that's kind of when we'd be tipping a little bit more that, oh, maybe we will start to go to the downside actually, and maybe revisit the bottom of this trend. But as of right now, we think that we are gaining some momentum here for our next move to the upside. I hope you guys got some value from this content. If you haven't already, smash the like button, subscribe to this channel for more content like this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. And keep in mind that none of this is financial advice. This is just some random guy on YouTube drawing some stick figure lines on a chart talking to you guys.